Austin John Metter was abusing me, and he is a Caucasian male. I met him in October or November 2015. His birthday is April 1997. He has charges from December 20th, 2015. He was arrested for assault family violence. A neighbor called 911, Mr. Chuck, and other neighbors, hearing and witnessing Austin John Metter assaulting me at our apartment and in our apartment and outside of our apartment at 230 Avenue G in Montgomery County Jail, booked him in for 42 days on an assault family violence charge. He was released on a 2-year felony probation for assault, and they began tampering with the evidence and saying that he was on probation for assault on a public servant. He was released February 2016, and I conceived a child by Austin Metter. I conceived by Austin John Metter, this white Caucasian male, February 4th, 2016. And I was very well aware of what was going on as far as getting pregnant and knowing that I was pregnant. A 911 call was made by the property manager at 230 Avenue G, and there was a video recording of Austin John Metter forcing himself on me, and the Conroe police charged Austin John Metter with Class C rape. I knew that I was pregnant because we had taken a pregnancy test, told family, friends. I had missed my period, and coworkers. We had told coworkers that I was pregnant. I had worked at Nee's Chinese Buffet and Taco Bell around the time that he was arrested for the assault family violence charge in December 2015, December 20th, 2015. And then I got a job at Taco Bell, and I was working at Taco Bell around the time that he was released on the assault family violence charge. When he was charged with the Class C rape charge, he started pulling out knives and threatening to harm himself. So I called the property manager and asked her if she could help, because Cynthia O'Vera, his adopted mother, and his probation officer was saying that he was a paranoid schizophrenic, or that he had bipolar disorder, and that he was ADHD, and that he would need to have medication in order for him to basically, I guess, not be violent with me. We went to Tri-County and started him as far as going to get back on his medication, because he had been previously diagnosed, but he had not been taking medication the entire time that I was with him, nor has he ever taken any of his medication the entire time that I have known him. So we went to Tri-County and we started getting him back on the paperwork, but he did not want to do that. He wanted to continue to just be abusive and use methamphetamine. He said he did not like taking the medication because it did not feel good when he was shooting up meth. He never did the meth around me, but he did say that he was doing it. So March 2016, the Conroe Police Department picked Austin John Metter up on a warrant for probation violation because he was on the 2-year felony probation for assault, even though they tampered with that charge, and he was charged with Class C rape. So his probation officer picked him up. He was basically abusing me on my way to work, abusing me at my job, and his probation officer became aware of what was going on. because it was going around the community, and he called to check in with his probation officer and told his probation officer that he had gotten another charge, which was the Class C rape charge. And his probation officer told him that he would give him about 30 days to turn himself in for that probation violation. So they came and picked him up. He was basically terrorizing me, and I was pregnant. I was on my way to work with him trying to fight me on my way to work. And people in the neighborhood were being very racist. They were wanting to see him hurt me and my baby that I was pregnant with, and refusing to call the police when I would ask for them to. And then they would watch me being abused down the street by him. And then when I would have to defend myself, they called the police and tried to tell the police that I was hurting him, that I hurt him. And so a white woman tried to make me get inside of her squad car when this happened. And I refused, because I was like, no, I'm not getting in the back of your car when these people are sitting here trying to watch this young white man abuse me, and I'm pregnant. And so she got her hand on her gun like she gonna try to fight me, and I'm looking like, okay, I'm not getting in the back of your squad car. And she called for backup. When she called for backup, one of the officers knew me from when he charged Austin John Metter with the assault family violence charge, or when he charged him with Class C rape. So all of these officers had responded to several different 911 calls, and they knew that he was abusing me. So let me go into some of the 911 calls that they did respond to. It was a 911 call at a Motel 6 in December 2015. Or November 2015, when we first got together. There was a civilian that saw Austin hitting me in a motel, pushing me in a motel parking lot as I was trying to leave him. This was when we first got together, and I realized that he was using the methamphetamine. And they called the police, and he held me inside of the room with his hands over my mouth, telling me not to scream until the police left the property. Another 911 call was made by his mother, Cynthia Olvera, from her home, because he pulled a very large butcher knife on Cynthia Olvera and started swinging it at her in her kitchen. And then she ran into her office and called 911 to the Magnolia Police Department, asking for emergency assistance right away. So when the Magnolia Police Department showed up to Cynthia Olvera's house, she did not tell them that he pulled a knife on her. And she tried to force me to go with him. And they got a 2-year protective order from him, so he could not go on her property anymore for 2 years. So there was another 911 call that very same day, because we left Cynthia's property and Austin wanted to go to his grandmother's property. His friends saw him abusing me outside of Decker Hills, where Cynthia Olvera and Joseph Olvera were living, his adopted parents. And the guy picked us up because he saw Austin abusing me outside their neighborhood. He gave us a ride to their grandmother's neighborhood, and their aunt called the police because Austin was abusing me outside of her front door at Joseph Olvera's mother's house, Mrs. Olvera. So his sister called 911, and the Magnolia police showed up. And they said, hey, Austin, we got a report that you're out here beating up your girlfriend or hitting on your girlfriend, and, what's going on? And he was like, well, I don't want her to leave me. So that's kind of basically what Austin would do every time I really just tried to get away from him and get out of this abusive relationship with him. He would just hit me. And so the officer said, well, if I come back again and I get another call that you're hitting her, then you're going to go to jail. And so Cynthia Olvera and Joseph Olvera came and got us, and they took us to the, his grandmother, his auntie, Joseph Olvera's sister, she did call Cynthia Olvera and Joseph and let them know that she called 911 on Austin and what was going on. So Cynthia Olvera and Joseph Olvera came and got us from the gas station by his grandmother's house, by Joseph Olvera's mother's house. And They were buying Austin beer and things like that, and he was pretty much just drinking. And they dropped us off at the Econo Lodge in Conroe, Texas. When they dropped us off at the Econo Lodge, Austin ended up attacking me inside of the room, and there ended up being a witness because he was trying to rape me inside of the room, and I tried to get out of the room by running, and he jumped on my back like when you give someone a piggyback ride, and then he put his arm around my neck and started choking me and dragging me backwards. And I was running trying to get to the door, and I grabbed the curtains and I snatched the curtains down, and he just made me do circles around the room on top of my back until he like bumped me into everything and knocked me on my knees on the bed, and he was butt naked on top of me, and I was screaming for someone to help me. And there was a white woman that came past the window, and she saw him on top of me, and she heard me screaming, and she ran to call 911. And the police showed up. Austin started begging for me not to press charges on him because he said that he already had 2 previous charges, and that if he got another charge that he would have to go to prison. When we first met, Austin started abusing me from the very first week that we met back in October, November 2015. He broke into my friends with his fist balled up. He came to my friend's home looking for me, drunk and refusing to leave the property. And so people were very well aware that Austin was abusing me, and that it was very severe that he was abusing me. There was another 911 call from North Fraser Street. There was a civilian that witnessed Austin abusing me on North Fraser Street, just abusing me, and they called 911 and the police showed up. I wasn't ready to tell on Austin that he was abusing me. Like, I knew the police were being called, but I was the victim, and I did love Austin. So it was very hard for me to be able to open up to the police that quickly about what was going on, because I was afraid and I was homeless, and Cynthia O'Vera, she was helping us out, and I just was scared. Austin was the one who was pretty much, his family was making sure that I was okay, and I did not feel comfortable talking to police about the abuse, so I was pretty quiet and not ready to really come forward with the details. But they were getting the calls, and so there was another 911 call from Fraser Street by the Family Dollar, and this call was very crazy because it was getting out of hand, the abuse, and I was like, hey, you know what, I just got to get away from him. And he jumped on my leg and made me drag him as I was trying to walk away from him or run away from him, and he was on his belly and I was trying to walk away, and I was literally having